Winning Blueprint presents. 5 NFL franchises decided to turn their teams over to rookie quarterbacks in 2012, an unprecedented number thus far. So as they embark on their rookie campaigns, we will follow. So, now let's meet the NFL's starting 5. At number 5, a 5'11 rookie out of Wisconsin and the starter of the Seattle Seahawks, introducing number 3, Russell Number 4, a 6'3 rookie from Oklahoma State and the starter of the Cleveland Browns. Give it up for number 3, Brandon Weeden. At number 3, a 6'4 rookie via Texas A&M and starter for the Miami Dolphins, number 17, Tannehill. At number 2, a 6'2 rookie and second overall draft pick in the 2012 NFL Draft by way of Baylor and the starter of the Washington Redskins, welcome, number 10, Robert Griffin III. And at number 1, a 6'4 rookie and first overall selection in the 2012 NFL Draft by way of Stanford and the starter of the Indianapolis Colts, number 12, Andrew. This is your starting 5.
And this list means much more than the weekly rank. Anything can happen on the weekly rank because you can have your worst game. One of the quarterbacks that has been playing pretty bad football can have his best game. And just like that, he can be number 1, you can be number 5. Those things are fluid. But this list here, this list is your overall body of work for the entire season. And let's be frank, that's what we really want to see. How you've matured from week 1 to week whatever it is. In this case, it's week 12 that we're talking about. And we need to see you maturing each and every single week, getting better. And this ranking, this list, the overall list of the starting 5, kind of gives you some insight into where these quarterbacks are in their maturation process and how they've been playing throughout the course of the season, not for just a week or 2 or 3, but how they've been playing all season long. So let's get into the season rank, the overall season rank for the NFL's starting 5. Coming in at number 5 on the season overall rank in the NFL's starting 5 is Ryan Tannehill. Now, 5. Ryan Tannehill is trending down right now. He was number 4 the last time we did this list. Now he's at the bottom at number 5, and I'll tell you why. Ryan Tannehill, the last time we spoke, and he was number 4 on this list, I gave him some really high praises. I said he was going to shoot up this list because he was doing the one thing that I cherish the most in a quarterback. He was protecting the football. He wasn't turning it over. And as a quarterback in the National Football League, I think that's your first duty as a quarterback. You know, there's a lot of things that goes into being an NFL quarterback. You need to be a leader. You need to be a leader of men. You need to be able to, do the things that your team needs you to do to help them win, whether it's, throw the ball 47 times for over 300 yards, scramble in and out of the pocket, get them out of bad plays into better ones, sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed for the good of the team to help you win. These are all things that quarterbacks need to do, but above all of that, and maybe not above being a leader, but above anything that has to do with your play on the field, you need to take care of the football. As a quarterback, you touch the football on every single play. And so whether it be fumbling, throwing interceptions, you need to be a great ball handler. And Ryan Tannehill from weeks 5 to 9 was exactly that. And I was enamored with the fact that he was taking care of the football, because in weeks 1 through 4, he did anything but take care of the football. He was anything but a good ball handler. And so he was struggling. And to see him mature from weeks 5 to 9, it was an eye-opener. I was really impressed with his growth through the season. Then he regressed at week 10 and week 11. He went back to his turnover ways, turning it over 3 and 4 times in one game, helping his team lose ball games that they should have been winning. And those are things that I can't stand for. Turnovers. Because when you turn the football over, you don't give your team a chance. And so, looking at his numbers, looking at his total body of work, he's 197 for 334 in terms of passing the football, completions to attempts. For 2,373 yards, 7 touchdowns, over 12 interceptions. And that's what I'm referring to right there. You know, you don't have to have a lot of passing touchdowns, okay? That doesn't mean that you're not getting it done. Just because you only have 7 doesn't mean you're not getting it done. But what's alarming is that 12 interception ratio. You're almost at a 2-to-1 ratio, interceptions over touchdown passes. You're almost there. That's not a good look for Ryan Tannehill. You don't want to have that many interceptions, especially if you're not throwing for touchdowns. You don't need to have 12 interceptions. Because what that tells me is, okay, you're not throwing touchdown passes, that's fine. Then you don't need to be throwing interceptions either. If you're not good enough to throw touchdown passes, and look, you don't have the best talent around, I get it. You know, your skill guys aren't the greatest. You're dealing with slim pickings over there in terms of talent out wide. So I get that. But if you're not throwing for touchdowns, then you don't need to throw for interceptions either. It's just like, you know, your mom telling you, hey, you didn't go to school today, you can't go outside and play. If you're not well enough to go to school, you're not well enough to go outside and play. That's the same way I feel about touchdown passes and interceptions. If you're not good enough to throw touchdown passes, then you don't need to be throwing interceptions either. And that's what he's doing right now. He's throwing interceptions despite not really throwing a lot of touchdown passes. And so those type of numbers, in conjunction with a 59% completion percentage, which isn't bad, especially for a rookie. That's right around where you expect a rookie to be. Those numbers are up from the last time I spoke to you. He's right around where he needs to be, and he's right on the cusp of getting to 60. I like that. I like the fact that he's improving his completion percentage. But he has to be a better ball handler. And last week, he brought those interception numbers down tremendously. And go figure, they got to win. It isn't rocket science. There's a correlation between the Dolphins winning and Ryan Tannehill not turning the football over. He turns it over, and all of a sudden, that balance is off kilter. You know, they need him to be solid with the football for them to win moving forward. And of late, he hasn't been that. He did it in week 12. They got to win. What do you know? He has to be better. Overall, all in all, he has to be better, and that's why he comes in at number 5 on this overall list. You look at the number 4 quarterback on this list in the starting 5 for the overall rank of these quarterbacks in the NFL starting 5 for the 2012 season, and it's Brandon Weeden. And now, Weeden, he's trending up on this list because last time we did this, he was number 5. And I was very disgusted with a lot of his play at that time because he was missing open guys. He wasn't making the right reads. Even when he made the right decision, sometimes he still wasn't making an accurate throw. And in this league, when someone is open, and some of these guys are wide open. When guys are open, you have to hit them. This is a league where you can't afford to miss wide open receivers. Guys don't get open on a regular basis. And so when they get wide open, you got to hit them. And Weeden wasn't doing that early on in the season. He was missing too many receivers. He was missing too many reads. He was taking too long to get the ball out of his hands. And so he was at number 5. Now he's at number 4. And I'll tell you why he's went up this list to number 4. It's because he's starting to make better decisions with the football. He's starting to get it as a quarterback. And he has probably the best offensive line on this list. He has some of the best young weapons on this list. So there's no excuse for him not to be going out and getting it done. I like what he has at the tight end position. I like what he has at the wide receiver position. I like what they're doing in the backfield. Their offensive line is the best of the starting 5. And so he has everything around him to be successful. And that's why I penalize him more so than some of these other quarterbacks on this list because, yeah, their defense isn't that good. Yeah, they're not a good team overall because they're young. And so, yeah, they're the Cleveland Browns. I get it. I take that into consideration. However, the pieces around him are better than some of these quarterbacks in the starting 5 have. And so for him to not be going out and doing what it is he needs to do to help his team be better than 3-8 on the season, I have to take a stance on that. I have to take offense with that because you have the pieces that other quarterbacks on this list would kill for. And you're not utilizing it to its maximum potential. You're not getting the most out of the things you have around you. So sometimes I have to penalize him for that. But he's been better of late. You look at them beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a big win for the Cleveland Browns. If you're not a Cleveland Browns fan, you probably don't understand how big of a win this was. I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan, but I know this was a huge win because I follow the NFL very closely. I know this is a big win for the Cleveland Browns. They don't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers that often. One of the reasons they were able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, yes, a big reason why they were able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers was 8 turnovers. Yes, I understand that. But also Brandon Weeden was solid in this game. He was solid, 17 of 26. 153 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Wasn't anything earth-shattering, but he was solid. He made the plays when they were there to be made. He took his team down, scored a touchdown, led them on another touchdown drive. When the Steelers turned it over, he didn't turn it back over. That was important. He made an early mistake. He overcame that early mistake. He hasn't been making a lot of mistakes of late. You look at his overall body of work. Brandon Weeden is 222 of 397 passing on the season for 2,456 yards, 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Now, yeah, he has the most interceptions of any member of the starting 5. But those numbers have been elevated all season long. They've slowed down almost to a halt. They're at a snail's pace. Because if you remember, a couple weeks back when we did this, he was up around 10, 11, 12 interceptions. A couple weeks later, he's only at 13, so that means he's not turning it over that often of late. Last week against the Cowboys, he had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So you look at what he's been able to do, he's coming along. He's progressing. It isn't at the rate that maybe I would like it to be, and maybe some around the Cleveland Browns organization would like it to be. But look, he's a rookie. Everyone doesn't get it at the same time. And so, yeah, he's had his struggles at points this season, but he's coming along. I don't penalize him as much as I do Ryan Tannehill for the interceptions because he's got more touchdown passes. They're asking him in Cleveland to throw it a lot more than they're asking Ryan Tannehill to do it out in Miami, and he still has the interception numbers. He went to school, and so he can go outside and play. He has 12 touchdown passes, so he can throw 13 interceptions. It's okay because he went to school, so he can go outside and play. Tannehill didn't go to school, so you can't go outside and play. And so that's the difference for me in why Brandon Weeden is 4 on this list and Ryan Tannehill is number 5. You look at his completion percentage, it's 55.9. You look at his passer rating, it's 70.9. Those are both the worst in the starting 5. But it's in the context of how it's occurring. And he's getting better. Those numbers are getting better. The last time we talked, that completion percentage was under 55%. And so it's getting better. It's not where it needs to be. It needs to come up more. That passer rating doesn't need to be dipping below 70. It's close to doing that right now. But looking at Brandon Weeden, he's getting better. You can see it on film. You can see it when you watch the game. And that's why right now he's the number 4 quarterback in the NFL starting 5 overall on this list for the 2012 season. So coming in at number 3 in the NFL's starting 5 overall ranking list for the 2012 season is probably going to come as a surprise to many of you. He is definitely trending downward, as on this list just a few weeks ago he was number 1. Now he's number 3, and so he's definitely trending down. I'm speaking of which of Andrew Luck. Yes, Andrew Luck has not been playing to his full potential of late. And these are the things that you get out of rookie quarterbacks. You get the ups, you get the downs, you get the uneven play. He's only one of 2 quarterbacks in the starting 5 to have a winning record. He's only one of 2 quarterbacks in the starting 5 to have his team right now in the playoffs. He's one of the only members of the starting 5 to really have his team playing plus 500 football for the majority of the season. So you take Andrew Luck off of this Indianapolis Colts team, they look a lot like they did last year. They'd probably be 2-9 right now. There's a lot that Andrew Luck has brought to this Indianapolis Colts team. He makes people better. He makes players around him a lot better. There's a lot that Andrew Luck does that goes unseen by the untrained eye if you're not someone that's really focusing in on the whole body of work. I'm not just talking about his play on the field. There's a lot of things that he's brought to this Indianapolis Colts franchise that you can't gauge with numbers. But this is what we're talking about on this program. We're talking about the whole body of work, including numbers. In the last few weeks, he hasn't been his sharpest. And you look at that game a week ago against the New England Patriots, he was terrible. I mean, they lost that game because Andrew Luck wasn't a good ball handler in that game. I mean, he was throwing picks, he was fumbling the football, you name it, he was doing it in that game, turning it over in a myriad of ways, helping the Patriots score points, helping the Colts get blown out of that football game. Those games are going to occur, especially when you ask your quarterback to chuck it 40 times a game, which is right around what the Colts ask him to do. You're going to get mistakes. The more times you ask your rookie quarterback to go out and sling it, the more you open him up to turning the football over. I've said that time and time again, which is why I don't like the way the Indianapolis Colts utilize him. But it's working. So I can't complain with results. They're 7-4 on the season. If they would have scaled his attempts back, maybe they're 4-7 on the season. I don't know. So I'm not going to argue with success. It's working, and that's right now what they see as a winning recipe. Who am I to try to change that? Who am I to complain about winning? That's what it's all about. And so from that standpoint, I get it, but he's turning the ball over way too much. And that's the issue I have with Andrew Luck right now. He was number 1 a few weeks back because he was playing solid football. They were winning games, and he wasn't turning the football over. And now you fast forward to week 12, he's turning the football over. You know, even when he's not turning it over a lot, he's still turning it over. There's not many games this season that you'll look and you'll see Andrew Luck didn't have at least 1 interception. He throws interceptions because they ask a lot out of him. And the more you ask him to chuck it, the more you open yourself up to having numbers like Andrew Luck has on the season. But let's look at his overall body of work. Right now, Andrew Luck is 255 of 449 passing the football for 3,205 yards, 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He has 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. You can't discuss Andrew Luck without talking about the added dimension that he brings using his legs. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. Only second on this list in the starting 5 to Robert Griffin III's 6. So he's getting it done when he gets in the red zone. He's finding a way to score with his legs or with his arm. That's a lot of interceptions. For a guy that has his team in the playoffs right now and is playing solid football for the most part all season long, it's a lot of turnovers. We're not even adding in to the fact that he's a guy that will fumble the ball too. So we're not even talking about all of his turnovers. We're just talking about interceptions. That's 13. We're talking about a 1-to-1 ratio touchdown to interception. That's not what you want. You don't want a 1-to-1 ratio of touchdowns to interceptions. It needs to be at least 2-to-1. That's what you're looking for. Most guys don't achieve 2-to-1 though. And so that's wishful thinking, but that's what you aim for, at least 2-to-1 in your touchdown to interception ratio. Right now he's 1-to-1. 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That's too many interceptions. But again, he went to school, so he's able to go outside and play. It's not as big an issue for me like it is with a guy like Ryan Tannehill who's not throwing the touchdown passes. If you're not going to throw the touchdown passes, then you're not eligible to throw the interceptions. So Luck is throwing the touchdown passes. They're asking a lot out of him. He's got the most attempts passing-wise of any member of the starting five, and so you understand where the interceptions are coming from. They're asking a lot out of him, and that's where you're getting the interception numbers from. But he's got to be better. And moving forward, the competition only gets tougher. They've been playing, the Colts have, Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans of the world. The competition is going to stiffen up, especially if you make it to the postseason. They haven't played the Texans yet. They'll be playing them 2 times within the last 5 weeks. So they're going to see better defenses. I want to see what Andrew Luck is going to be able to do. But over the last few weeks, he hasn't been that spectacular, and his numbers bear that out. You look at his completion percentage, it's 56.8 on the season. That's not very good. He needs to get that up closer to 60%. You look at his passer rating, it's 76.7. It could be better, but again, when you ask your quarterback to throw it as much as the Colts do, it's going to bring that number down significantly because they're going to make mistakes. That's what Andrew Luck has done, and that's why right now, currently, in the overall list of the starting five for the 2012 season, he is ranked number 3. So, getting into the top 2 members of the starting five for the overall rank of the 2012 season, this is where you start to get to the creme de la creme. You get to the top of these quarterbacks and you see who's playing the best. And without a doubt in my mind, for the most part, all season long, these have been the 2 best quarterbacks. The last time we did this list, coming in at number 2 is a quarterback that's coming in at number 2 on this list again, and that is Russell Wilson. I can't state it enough how consistent he's been all season long. Of these quarterbacks, all season he's probably been no worse than 3rd on this list, and you could argue that he's been at least 2nd all season long. He's been the model of consistency among these quarterbacks in terms of his play on the field. He's been phenomenal for the Seattle Seahawks. He's done everything they've asked of him and more. Every time you think that the Seattle Seahawks are overmatched in a football game, it's not the case because Russell Wilson shows up and plays good football. Doesn't matter if they're playing against the Green Bay Packers and you're thinking, okay, they're overmatched at the quarterback position. No, they're not, because Russell Wilson is showing up and doing what he needs to do to help them win football games. They play against the New England Patriots, you say, okay, the Seattle Seahawks are overmatched. No, they're not, because Russell Wilson is playing good football. He's playing and matching the opposing quarterback, especially when they're elite. He's rising to the top and playing his best football. Russell Wilson has been playing solid football all season long. And they're 6-5 for a reason. And they probably should be more like 7-4, 8-3. If you just went off of Russell Wilson's numbers and his play all season long, this is an 8-win team. Because he's played well enough for the Seattle Seahawks to win probably 8, maybe 9 games this season. There hasn't been many stinkers for Russell Wilson. Again, he's only had one, and that's that Rams game on the road in St. Louis where he threw the 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. He wasn't good that game. He'll tell you that. They lost that football game because of Russell Wilson. You can't say that many times this season. They haven't lost many games because of Russell Wilson. He's been on the mark for the most part all season long. And really, if we just went off of his play, the Seattle Seahawks are 8-3 right now. Because he's played well enough to win about 8 games, 9 games this season. Let's get into his overall body of work, and you'll see exactly why he's number 2. And you could argue that he should be number 1, but when we talk about the number 1 quarterback on this list, there will be no argument. There will be no discussion. You'll see why he's number one and why Russell Wilson is number two. But there's no argument. These are the two best quarterbacks in the starting five. Let's get into the overall body of work for Russell Wilson and why he is the second quarterback on the overall list of the starting five quarterbacks in the National Football League for the 2012 season. Russell Wilson right now is sporting a 63% completion percentage. That's excellent. You know, when talking about rookies, that is earth-shattering when talking about rookies, because rookies normally don't eclipse 60%. They get to 60 and you're happy. You'll take 60 as it stands. You start talking about 63, and now you're going into a different category. And that different category is phenomenal. And that's what Russell Wilson has been able to do with his completion percentage. That's a great number. 63.6%. That is an excellent number for a rookie. That's a great number for a veteran quarterback, let alone a rookie. And so that's what Russell Wilson has been able to do throughout the course of this season. 63.6% completion percentage. You look at his passer rating, 93.9. Again, on a scale of 1 to 10, that's an 8. And so, and we're not talking about just rookie quarterbacks. We're talking about quarterbacks in general, veterans, rookies, all of them alike. That's an 8. That's a great number for a quarterback for a passer rating. 93.9. I mean, we're talking about basically 94 as a passer rating. That is, without a doubt, a tremendous number for a rookie. Just for a regular quarterback, just for a veteran quarterback in the league, it's a tremendous number. You look at it from the standpoint that this is coming from a rookie, and now those are tremendous numbers. The completion percentage and the passer rate. Then you get into his numbers on the season. 178 of 280. And again, he has the least amount of passing attempts of any member of the starting five because they don't ask too much of Russell Wilson, and I love it. I think this is exactly how he needs to be utilized. And this is how most rookies should be used. But everyone isn't afforded the opportunities that Russell Wilson has been afforded in Seattle with a solid defense, with a great running game, and with a coach and a coaching staff that understands what they have in personnel and realizes what they need to do for this team to be successful. You look at his passing yards on the season, 2,051. Again, the least amount of the starting five. And again, they don't ask him to throw it as much, so you won't get as many passing yards, which again, I think is great, which is what is making Russell Wilson such an effective quarterback this season. You look at his touchdown totals, 17 touchdowns versus 8 interceptions. We're talking about a better than 2-to-1 ratio. This is what I spoke of earlier. He is only one of 2 quarterbacks in the starting five that has a better than 2-to-1 ratio in touchdowns to interceptions. Go figure. We're talking about the number 2 and 1 quarterbacks on this list. 17 over 8 for a veteran. That's a solid number. And you add to the fact that this is coming from a rookie, and now you start talking about potential greatness. I mean, 17 and 8 in your rookie campaign, and we're not done yet. That is a tremendous number coming from a rookie. Again, these are the type of numbers that leads you to believe that Russell Wilson is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in this league for years to come. These are gaudy numbers. And he's getting it done on a weekly basis is Russell Wilson. And you can't take that away from him. He's doing everything that this Seattle Seahawks team is asking of him and then some. This guy is performing at a very high level right now. Forget the fact that he's a rookie. He's performing at a high level as an NFL starting quarterback. And this is why he's ranked number 2 on this list. You can't deny the numbers. It's plain to see. He's getting it done. He's one of the best quarterbacks, not just best rookie quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League this season. There's no denying that. The numbers bear that out. 17 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions, better than 2-to-1 ratio. Come on, you got to be kidding me. That is the mark of a good quarterback. I love what Russell Wilson is doing this season. Hence, he is the number 2 quarterback in the season overall rankings list for the NFL's starting five. Before we get to number one on the overall list, let's go ahead and recap what we've done on this list thus far, leading us up to this point where we'll be able to reveal our number one quarterback in the NFL starting five overall list for the 2012 season. Let's count up, though, from the number 5 position up to where we are now. Coming in at number 5 in the overall rankings list for the NFL starting 5 quarterbacks, it's Ryan Tannehill. Haven't really been impressed with what he's been doing. He's turning the football over way too much. He's been too inconsistent this season. And the numbers that he's posting, especially the turnover numbers, are alarming, especially when you're not scoring points and you're not throwing touchdown passes. I can't give you a pass there. He comes in at number 5 on the season. You look at the number 4 quarterback in the NFL's overall rankings of the NFL starting 5 quarterbacks, and it's Brandon Weeden. Brandon Weeden has elevated himself to number 4 on this list because he's getting better as the season progresses. He's not turning the ball over as much as he once was earlier in the season. He's starting to get it. He's starting to become a better quarterback. You can see the maturation on the field. He has a long way to go. His numbers aren't where they need to be, but you can see he's starting to ascend, and thus he's number 4 on the list. You look at the number 3 quarterback. He's fallen a long way from number 1. Number 3 on this list is Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck has been struggling of late. They're still getting wins, but he's been struggling of late, not playing the type of football that is going to be necessary of him if this team wants to make it to the postseason and actually do something when they get there. He's been a turnover machine of late. He's tied for the most interceptions on this list of the quarterbacks in the NFL starting 5, and so that's something that needs to be addressed. They ask a lot out of him, though, and so he gets some sort of a pass because of the amount of usage that the Colts get out of him. And so Andrew Luck comes in at number 3 because of the turnovers, but he's still performing, has the best record of any member of the NFL starting 5, so he's in at number 3. You look at number 2 on the NFL starting 5 overall season rank list, and it's Russell Wilson. He's been Mr. Steady on this list, a guy that really, for the most part, has not wavered all season, hasn't really had that game that you can say, hey, man, he's struggling, except for that one Rams game. Other than that, he's really been a model of consistency of these NFL starting 5 quarterbacks, and so he lands at number 2. You look at his overall body of work, a touchdown to interception ratio that is slightly over 2-1, really getting it done. He's doing what the Seahawks have asked of him and then some, and thus he's number 2 on this list. Getting to number 1 on this list, it just can't be anyone else other than Robert Griffin III. What he's doing right now is transcending the quarterback position as we know it. He's doing things that we've never seen at the quarterback position. We thought that it was going to be hard for anyone to come in and top Cam Newton's rookie campaign from a season ago. Right now, it's not over yet. But just looking at it from afar, he is blowing Cam Newton's rookie campaign from a season ago out of the water. And he still has his team in playoff contention, something that not even Cam Newton, with his great success last year, could do. And so Robert Griffin III right now is really playing good football. His team was burning just 3 weeks ago, and he's been able to raise his team out of the ashes and give them a chance. And the only reason they have a fighting chance, the only reason they have a puncher's chance in this season is because of number 10, Robert Griffin III. He's been able to elevate the play of players around him. He has help, and there is talent on this team, but Robert Griffin III has instilled a confidence and an air of arrogance that this offense, this team needs to have in order for them to win football games. He's been, without a doubt, the best quarterback of the starting 5 over the last 3 weeks, and you could argue over the whole body of this season, even though the record doesn't indicate that he's the best of the starting 5. You watch the play on the field, and there's no doubting that he is the best quarterback of the starting 5. There's really not a discussion to be had he's been the best quarterback of the NFL starting five. And you could argue he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League as a whole. I mean, we're talking about a league with a Tom Brady, with an Aaron Rodgers, with a Drew Brees, with a Peyton Manning, with an Eli Manning. We're talking about a league that has some really good quarterbacks in it. He's right up there in the discussion of all of these headlining quarterbacks. Now, he's got a long way to go. You can't just toss him into the elite conversation just because of his first 11 games. But he is playing some really good football. And let's talk about his numbers, because I really don't think I'm doing him enough justice by just talking him up. I'm going to let his numbers do the talking for him, and you'll see that this man has been one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League, hands down, in this season. And I'm not talking about rookies. I'm talking about overall quarterbacks. Veterans, rookies, all of them alike. He's been one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league. Let's talk about his numbers. Robert Griffin III right now is sporting a 67.4 completion percentage. Did you just hear what I just said? 67.4 completion percentage. We're talking about almost a 70% clip that this man is completing passes at. That's an asinine number for a veteran quarterback. That's an asinine number for a guy that's been in the league 7, 10, 12 years. This guy's a rookie, and he's putting up those type of numbers. That's insane. You look at the passer rating, 104.6. In week 12 of the National Football League season, he is up over 100 in passer rating. This isn't week 2. This isn't week 5, where if you started the season hot, you can be over 100 in passer rating. This is week 12 we're talking about. We're going into week 13, and he's at 104.6. Do you know how good you have to be over the course of a season to have a passer rating that eclipses 100? And he's not just 101 or 103. He's at 104. He's well over 100. Do you know how good a football you have to be playing to get over 100 12 weeks into the season? I mean, this guy is doing things that are unfathomable for a rookie quarterback. I mean, it's just amazing to watch him work as a quarterback and to see the things that he's able to do on a football field. Nothing short of remarkable. You look at his 205 completions over 304 attempts. I mean, that's less than 100 incompletions. It's rare to see a quarterback do that in the National Football League with that many attempts, let alone a rookie. Again, you always have to, throw out the disclaimer that he's a rookie, because these numbers aren't rookie-like. And so you have to keep reminding people, hey, he's just a rookie. And this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more left of Robert Griffin III that we haven't seen yet. And that's scary if you're in opposition, because this is just the beginning. As crazy and as far-fetched as that sounds, this is just the beginning. Those numbers equate to 2,497 yards passing on the season. But this right here is the real kicker. This is the number that blows you away. 16 touchdown passes versus 4 interceptions. We're talking about a 4-to-1 ratio of touchdown passes to interceptions. Let me repeat that again. 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That is mind-boggling. Hard to wrap your brain around the fact that he's a rookie and he has a 4-to-1 interception to touchdown ratio. That means every 3 weeks he throws 1 interception. Did you hear this? Every 3 weeks he's averaging 1 interception. That is absolutely, unequivocally without a doubt, the most fascinating stat that Robert Griffin III has, because he's not turning the football over. Rookie quarterbacks turn the football over. He's not turning it over. Russell Wilson is not turning it over. That's why they're the top two on this list, because they are great. Not good, not solid. They are great ball handlers. And that's what you want. You want your team, your offense, to have a chance to score every time and not have to worry about turning the football over when you set foot on the field. It's not something you think about when you see Robert Griffin III on the field. You don't think about, hey, I hope he doesn't throw an interception here, or I hope he doesn't turn it over here. That's not something that enters your brain when you watch him play, because it happens so infrequently. You don't even think about him turning the football over. That's an afterthought. He's just so good at what he does. That's not something that even enters into your mind when you're watching him play football. I mean, these numbers that I just gave you are out of this world. They're on another stratosphere. They don't make sense for a rookie quarterback. And so those things and more are the reason why Robert Griffin III is the number one quarterback in the 2012 NFL's starting five list for overall play in this season. You just don't get better than what he's doing. And we may never see a quarterback perform at the level that he's performing at right now. If he continues to do this, I don't see how the Redskins won't make the playoffs. Now, it's a team effort. You know, he's 5-6 on the season because the Redskins are 5-6 on the season. But just like Russell Wilson, with his play, just taking his play, taking everything else out of the equation, defense, special teams, all that, just his play alone, the Redskins probably should be 9-2, 8-3 on the season. Just like I said for Russell Wilson. I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can pay a rookie quarterback, to say that you're winning, your team is winning because of you, and they're not losing in spite of you. They're getting it done. These rookie quarterbacks, these teams can't say their rookie quarterbacks are the reason they lose on a week-in, week-out basis. In fact, you could argue that without these rookie quarterbacks, these teams would not be winning the games that they are winning. And the losses aren't their fault, and they're not even close to being the reason why they're losing these games. You take these two quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Robert Griffin III, and you just take their play during the course of a game, their team should be 8-3, 9-2 right now. They've played that well this season. And so these quarterbacks deserve to go to the postseason. Both of them. You know, you can sprinkle in Andrew Luck as well. These three quarterbacks have played well enough all season long for their teams to go to the postseason. Will all three of them make it? Probably not. Will two of them make it? Maybe. Probably not again. One of these quarterbacks will go to the postseason. For sure. One of these three will make it. Two probably will make it. Two should make it. But really, all three of them have played well enough to go to the postseason. We'll see how their teams, because we need to remember, this is a team game. And so these guys can perform as well as they want. But if the defense and the special teams aren't doing their jobs, doesn't matter. All of this will go for naught. So we have to see how these teams perform down the stretch. But there you have it. Your NFL's starting five for Week 12 going into Week 13. These guys have performed well. And I tell you what, you got to be impressed with what you've seen from these quarterbacks. They went 4-1 in Week 12, and they're getting it done. These are the likes of rookies that we've never seen before. And their talents are on display. And I think the NFL is in good hands because of rookies like the NFL's starting five.
This is your starting